Lebanon, some stones have been placed on the structure of a temple, which baffle the human mind. Each stone weighed as much as 3 blue whales, and surprisingly, they were not only cut with great skill in one piece, but also transported from a distance of 1.5 kilometers, that 2,000s of years ago. But the mystery is that no human civilization has ever been known to be famous for cutting such large stones. Has there been a civilization in history that possessed knowledge that we do not have today? To investigate these stones, a team of German archaeologists began excavating at the quarry where these stones were brought from. An incomplete stone, weighing 1,200 tons, is still present there, which is about the weight of 4 Boeing 747s. After excavating here, archaeologists found some evidence inside the ground that is quite difficult to believe. In the east of Lebanon's Bekaa Valley is a city called Baalbek, where people come to see some ruins of the Roman Empire. But the interesting thing is that these ruins, which are visible from above, were from that era. But underneath, archaeologists have found some evidence that has no connection with the Roman Empire, at least not yet. Here is a temple built by the ancient Romans, called the Temple of Jupiter. This temple is still an example of the Roman Empire's architecture and their skills. But under the construction of this temple, foundations of very large stones have been found. Initially, it was understood that perhaps these were not in one piece, but rather small stones were joined with great skill in such a way that they appeared to be one. But after testing, it was confirmed that these are nothing but giant stones. These stones, later known as the trilithon, were lifted 30 feet high, perhaps for the first time in human history. To estimate the size and weight of these stones, each stone weighs 900,000 kilograms, meaning more than 1.5 times heavier than the world's heaviest aircraft, the Antonov A225 Maria, and 10 times larger than the largest stones used in the construction of the Pyramid of Giza. Despite their enormous size, these stones were somehow transported from Qom, which is about 2.5 kilometers away, and then placed on top of the blocks of the Heliopolis complex, upon which more complex blocks were later erected. The accuracy with which these stones were cut and joined is truly remarkable, especially for an era when it was impossible to do even with modern machinery, because there is not even a paper-thin gap between them. In Roman structures, their focus was on beauty. They wanted to show the world their construction skills, but the answer to this was buried inside the trilithon. After seeing this, a question arises in the mind. If a civilization accomplishes such a great feat, then why would it hide it? The ancient Romans, who are known for keeping a record of their every skill, did not record these trilithons, but rather they built their temple on top of an already made foundation. Furthermore, according to historians, the largest crane the Romans possessed could only lift 60 tons, making it absolutely impossible for them to lift these 900-ton stones. And the Romans used to make a special shape of hole in the stones they lifted with a crane, called Lewis holes, but there is no record of such holes in the trilithon. There is no record of lifting the trilithon and bringing it here, so then who accomplished this task with such skill? Who actually built the foundation of the Temple of Jupiter? The other stones of the Temple of Jupiter are fitted with finishing, while the trilithon believes that keeping all these things in mind, the trilithon are older. Meaning, even 10,000 years before the Roman Empire, the work that is considered impossible to do even in today's modern era. Which civilization did it at that time and how, is a mystery about which archaeologists have not been able to say anything yet. In Baalbek, only these trilithons are kept. In the compound of the Temple of Jupiter, many such large stones can be seen near the stairs. Look at this 800-ton stone. Even moving it is no small feat. After this, we come to the south wall, where countless blocks weighing from 400 to 800 tons are found. Some are above the ground, while many are below the ground, but no one knows how deep they are in the ground. The key fitting is done very neatly, and the line on the border is smaller than 1 millimeter. After seeing this, the work seems even more complicated. There are some strange marks on the surface of these stones, like the ones that are formed on stones due to modern mining machinery these days. The length of these marks is about 10 feet, and they are perfectly parallel to each other. If we talk about the tools of the old era, then none of them can make this kind of mark. At least there is no such tool on the record of historians. Similar tool marks have also been seen on the stones of Yinshan Quarry in China. Here, there is a stone block weighing 16,000 tons, which has the same marks on it as the stones of Baalbek. Similarly, similar marks have been seen in the city of Petra in Jordan. This city, carved out of the mountain rocks, was also built at least 2,300 years ago. If compared, these marks are similar to modern machinery these days. That is, even in that era, there was such technology that could cut stones like modern machinery, but obviously there is no concrete evidence of this with historians yet. Now we come to the quarry from where these Baalbek stones were actually brought, including the trilithons. It is about 1 mile away from the Temple of Jupiter, and it is a limestone quarry. Some half-cut stones are still present here. This more surprising quarry is known as the Temple of Jupiter and the Complexed Woman. There are many famous stories about how it got this name. It is 68 feet long, 14 feet high, and 14 feet thick. Its weight is calculated to be 1,200 tons according to the area. This stone is lying at an angle, while its lower part is still attached to the stone of the quarry. Whoever cut it into this shape did not get a chance to separate its lower part, and perhaps they had to leave this work in the middle. Otherwise, perhaps this stone would also be seen on the side of the Temple of Jupiter today. The same kind of marks are still present on the bottom of this stone as are seen on the other stones of the Temple of Jupiter. A model of the pregnant women stone is kept in the Jungfrau Park in Switzerland, around which some modern cranes models are standing. The only purpose of showing this is that if the pregnant women stone has to be lifted even in today's era, then about 20 cranes together can do this work, that too only when there is space to stand cranes up to 50 to 60 feet around the stone. Earlier, the pregnant women stone was half buried inside the ground, but in 2014, when a team of archaeologists excavated here, it was found that it was separate from the quarry even inside the ground. Only the bottom of this block is still connected to the quarry. That is, due to lying like this for thousands of years, the layer of soil had buried it inside the ground. Science believes that only 1 inch of soil layer is deposited in about 80 to 100 years. If we look at the old pictures of the pregnant women's stone, then it is buried up to about 10 feet inside, that is 120 inches. Therefore, if 1 inch is equal to 80 years, then it will take 9,600 years to deposit 120 inches, approximately 10,000 years. It is quite difficult to think and understand that humans were capable of doing such challenging tasks in the Stone Age so long ago. In 2014, when excavations were done for this stone, another surprising thing came to light. Another hidden stone, this stone is buried in the ground right next to the pregnant women's stone, which is estimated to weigh 1,650 tons. Known as the Forgotten Stone, this is the largest stone block in the world extracted from any quarry. This is just the part of the block that is visible from the top. Nothing can be said for the time being about how deep and what else is hidden inside the quarry. This stone remains a mystery for today's scientists, including engineers and archaeologists. The reason for this is that the methods used to cut, transport, and place them in the exact location don't seem possible for any famous civilization or even today's builders. Additionally, the journey from this mine to Baalbek is not only uphill due to the mountain, but also very rough. There is no evidence that a direct route was created in that era to transport these stones, making it easier to pull the stones. Not only that, but after transporting these heavy stones to the Baalbek site, how they were lifted with such precision is also a question. Even if we assume that ancient texts hint at an era when humans were much taller and their bodies were as strong as a deity, religious books like the Bible also mention such humans who were quite tall and powerful. They possessed powers similar to superhumans in fictional movies. In books, they are given different names, such as the Nephilim in the Bible. Some texts mention their height as 450 feet, while others mention it as 100 feet. For those civilizations, lifting the stones of Baalbek might not have been such a difficult task. Hopefully, you will like and share this video abundantly. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next fantastic video. Thanks.